I want to say a few words today about Playas Promises. And there are a number of promises that a potential player will give us in order to keep us on the hook and in order to keep us happy as far as they're concerned. And what we sometimes need to understand about the people who want to play us in our lives is that sometimes making promises doesn't mean anything to them, because as far as they're concerned, as long as it gets the job done and as long as we believe them and come up with the goods, as it were, and give them what they want, then whether they break a promise or not, for some people, doesn't make any difference, because they have their eyes on the end target, the end goal, which is just to get what they want from a person or a situation. And so for many people, promises do not have the same meaning as it would do for someone who has integrity and someone who honours other people and have certain values in their lives. And this is where people get stuck as far as players are concerned, because we tend to judge other people based on our own value system. And players often do not have the same value system as us. And therefore they play by their own rules, as it were. And we can get led astray by believing that we have the same value system as other people. And that isn't necessarily the case. So I wanted to put Playas Promises in the context of our value system, so that we sort of broaden our awareness as far as other people maybe not sharing the same values as we do, even if they actually say that they do. So one of the ways in this instance where this can manifest is in players, whether that is a man or a woman, actually promising to do something or to give something to the victim or the partner in order for them to hand over what they want, and also for them to remain in the partnership. Because if someone just keeps taking and taking, then someone is going to get fed up after a while and may start to withdraw, which is when you may see some promises coming forth. And one of those promises could be marriage. And some people assume, based on what they see within you early on, that you want and desire certain things out of a relationship and out of life. And players often use our desires against us and for their own agenda. But in order to do that, they need to find out, first of all, what those desires are and who we are as a person. And this happens in the initial stages, when they ask certain questions and when they use their energy in order to read us, to see who we are, what our value system is, and what we want. And for many people, women in particular, players know or assume, sometimes wrongly, that a woman wants marriage and children potentially at the end of the day. And so marriage can be used as a hook, one of many that are available in order to keep us hooked into the relationship. And sometimes this can be in the form of a marriage proposal even. And some players will go as far as proposing marriage and gaining an acceptance so that the person is drawn deeper into the situation and potentially will hand over what the player wants. And a player who doesn't base their integrity on the promises that they make will often promise marriage without any intention of coming up with the goods at the end of the day, because they know that during that engagement process, which they can draw out for years if they want to, they know that they can pull out at any time, and that promise, for them anyway, doesn't necessarily mean anything that it would do to some of us with integrity and the desire to fulfill our promises towards other people. And so marriage can be a hook and can be a way that a player draws someone in by making the other person believe that marriage is a value that they really hold on to. And at the end of the day, the player knows that all they have to do, if things don't work out the way they want, is to just withdraw the marriage proposal, knowing perhaps that the other person will be so devastated that they won't be able to do anything about that at the end of the day. So marriage can actually keep someone on the hook for a very, very long time. And we often become deceived when we willingly hand over our heart and our energy and potentially our future and whatever financial gain that can come with that, believing that this person would never in a million years renege on their promise of marriage, because, you know, as far as we're concerned, people just don't do that who are decent. And that, of course, is the case. So that's one flag, if you will. And of course, at the end of the day, it's a person's actions that show us who they are. So it's not just about words and promises. And many players are all about the words, because words come cheap and they're easy to say. They're a tool that's used to get what they want in the moment. And as far as a committed relationship is concerned, and marriage, of course, that promise can often get them sex, money, a home, a future that they want, even without fulfilling the promise. And so that's just one area that can be used, and that is our desire for a committed relationship or marriage at the end of the day. And another hook or promise that the player may make is that they will be monogamous and that they will be faithful to us. And most of us enter into a relationship wanting the other person to be monogamous. We want to be in an intimate relationship where we can trust this other person with our heart and our love. And for some people, they if they are players, will often enter into a so-called committed situation without any intention of being monogamous and being faithful. And for some of them, the history of being unfaithful is quite long, and they've become habituated to having many partners. And so giving all that up for one person, for some people, is impossible. But they may, in order to get the goods and in order to keep this person on the hook and in a relationship, they may promise, and they may, some of them even believe that they can keep that promise. They may promise monogamy, and as I say, they may even truly believe that they will fulfill that promise. But for some players, they know darn well that they can never and will never be faithful to any one person. And particularly for very narcissistic people who often enter into relationships for different reasons other than love and commitment, they often have the attitude that they are so amazing and so wonderful that there's no way they're going to commit themselves to one person, because they believe that they need to keep themselves open to lots of different people, that they deserve lots of different partners in some form or other. And so for some people, monogamy sounds boring, and they don't want to keep that promise, but they may make that promise in order to draw other people to them. And another promise that a player may make, whether a man or a woman, is that they will always be honest in their interactions with their partner, and that they will always tell them the truth. Because if they are with a partner who is a partner who has integrity, that partner is going to desire someone who is of the same mindset and has the same energy. And therefore, most of us do not want to be lied to and deceived anyway. But someone with integrity will hold honesty at the core of their integrity, and they would desire a partner who is of the same the same energy, on the same wavelength. And so this key, this ability to be able to know this about the partner, that they need honesty, will often lead players to deceive the partner and to promise honesty in the future without potentially ever believing that they're going to keep that promise in a million years, because they see the benefit of promising one thing on the one hand in order to keep someone in a relationship, but having the fun, as they see it, of not keeping that promise and still doing what they want and still having their own way on the other hand. So they have the best of both worlds. Now, for some of us who are of a completely different mindset, or you may be an empath, for instance, these mindsets are completely alien to us, because sometimes we unwittingly believe that other people are the same as us and would never dream of breaking some of these promises. And some of these promises are quite serious in nature, and so we don't believe that anyone would want to do that and to hurt another human being in that way? Because we know that an intimate relationship is far more beneficial and far more rewarding than one that is based on deception. But these are points that many players do not know because some of them have never experienced true intimacy and therefore they don't place any value on it. In fact, some players believe that those aspects or those attributes that we possess are actually weaknesses. But of course we know that they're not, because they are part of authenticity and being real and having integrity. So I wanted to flag some of those issues up for you as far as Playas Promises are concerned. And as always, stay safe and very happy. Bye-bye.